Hi everyone, my name is Brittany Shulkoff and I am presenting on meditation, stress, and improving health. So, what is stress? Hans Seal, a pioneering Australian-Canadian endocrinologist, defines stress as the non-specific response of the body to any demand for change. The stress response is a natural response to prepare humans and animals for dangerous situations. However, if the system is not allowed to recover from these stressful situations, then the body becomes sensitized to stress. Various forms of research indicates that stress can impact immune function in humans and animals. And stress is caused by stressors such as these emergency situations. So what are stressors? Stressors can be physiological or psychological and are what trigger the stress hormones. These stress hormones are producing physiological changes within one's body. It has been found that constant stress can cause humans to develop various diseases, such as heart attacks, stroke, and arthritis. Stress can also lead to anxiety, drug abuse, depression, and obesity. So who is stress affecting? Over 47% of Americans say they're experiencing alarming amounts of stress in their lives. In 2015, the American Psychological Association found that overall stress levels have increased, with higher levels of adults reporting severe stress. It has also been found that younger generations and women are constantly battling with stress. Stress is more prevalent for the primary decision maker of each household, which 73% of women define themselves as. Meditation has been reported to decrease the effects of previous stressful experiences and to help individuals function better in these stressful situations. What is meditation? Meditation has been practiced for thousands of years due to the fact that it can reduce stress, calm the mind, and increase inner peace. Multiple studies suggest that meditation can also be used to improve the immune system and increase brain functioning. How can we determine that meditation is used to improve the immune system and increase brain functioning? There are many types of meditation being practiced, but they can be grouped into two approaches known as concentrative meditations and mindfulness meditations. There are benefits to having two approaches in meditation. One approach focuses on external variables, while the other concentrates on internal ones in order to gain self-awareness. Concentrative meditation aims at single-pointed focus on some sound, image, or sensations to still the mind and achieve greater awareness. Mindfulness meditation involves opening up or becoming more alert to the continuous passing stream of thoughts, images, emotions, and sensations without identifying oneself with them. Concentrative and mindfulness meditation both help develop a non-reactive state of mind. A non-reactive state of mind can be defined as awareness and acceptance of oneself. This non-reactive state of mind is what serves as the foundation for a calm and harmonious state of consciousness. So I found this video online. It's a TED Talk, and this woman is explaining how meditation can reshape our brains. It's about 8 minutes long, and I think it's beneficial to play the entire thing, so I'm going to. I'm going to turn the sound down now.
Good morning. So when I was in graduate school, I was a runner, and a friend and I decided that we were going to run the Boston Marathon. And so we started training, and we overtrained, and I developed knee and back problems. So I went to see a physical therapist, and they told me that I had to stop running, and instead I should just stretch. As I was leaving the therapist's office, the physical therapist's office, I saw an ad for a vigorous yoga class that promised not only to promote flexibility, but also to promote strength and cardiorespiratory fitness. So I thought, oh, well, this is a great way that I can stretch, but also remain in shape, and maybe I could even still run the Boston Marathon. So I went to the yoga class, and I really enjoyed it, except for when the teacher would make all sorts of claims, all sorts of medical claims, but also all sorts of, claims about, oh, yes, it'll help you, increase your compassion and open your heart, and it's just like, my eyes would roll, and I'd think, yeah, I'm here for, to stretch. But But what's interesting was that after a couple of weeks, I started noticing some of these changes. I started noticing that I was calmer and that I was better able to handle difficult situations, and that indeed I was feeling more compassionate and open-hearted towards other people, and I was better able to see things from other people's point of view. And I was like, how could this be? How could this be? And I thought, well, maybe it's just a placebo response, right? She told me I was going to feel this, so maybe that's why I was feeling it. So I decided to do a literature search to see if there's any research on this. And lo and behold, there was quite a bit, showing both yoga and meditation are extremely effective for decreasing stress. They're also very good for reducing symptoms associated with numerous diseases, including depression, anxiety, pain, and insomnia. They also, there's a couple of very good studies demonstrating it can actually improve your ability to pay attention. And most interesting, I thought, virtually every study has shown that people are just happier. They report they're more satisfied with their life, and they have a higher quality of life. And so this was interesting to me. And so I decided to switch and start doing this sort of research. And so as a neuroscientist, how could this be happening? How can you, something as silly as a yoga posture or sitting and watching your breath, how could that lead to all these sorts of different types of changes? So what we know is that whenever you engage in a behavior over and over again, that this can lead to changes in your brain. And this is what's referred to as neuroplasticity. And what this just means is that your brain is plastic and that the neurons can change how they talk to each other with experience. And so and there was a couple of studies demonstrating that you can actually detect this using machines like the MRI machine. The first study was with juggling. They took people who had never ever juggled before, and they scanned them, and then they taught them how to juggle, and they said, keep practicing for 3 months. Then they brought them back after 3 months, and they scanned them a second time. And they found that they could actually detect with the MRI machine changes in the amount of gray matter in the brain of these people in areas that are important for detecting visual motion. So I thought, okay, 3 months, can we detect, can meditation change brain structure too? That's something as, as simple as, juggling. What about meditation? So the first study we did, we recruited a bunch of people from the Boston area, and these were not monks or meditation teachers. These were just average Joes who on average practice meditation about 30 or 40 minutes a day. And we put them in the scanner, and we compared them to a group of people who are demographically matched, but who don't meditate. And what we found is this, that there were indeed several regions of the brain that had more gray matter in the meditators compared to the controls. One of the regions I'm going to point out to you is here in the front of the brain. It's an area that's important for working memory and executive decision making. And what was interesting about it was when we actually plotted the data versus their ages. So here in the red squares, that's the controls. And this is something you see actually, it's been well documented that as we get older, not just there, but across most of our cortex, it actually shrinks as we get older. And this is part of the reason why as we get older, it's harder to figure things out and to remember things. And what was interesting was that in this one region, the 50-year-old meditators had the same amount of cortex as the 25-year-olds, suggesting that meditation practice may actually slow down or prevent the natural age-related decline in cortical structure. So now the critics, and there were many critics, said, well, meditators, they're weird. Maybe they're just like that before they started practicing, right? Or a lot of them, they're vegetarians, so maybe it has something to do with their diet or something else with their lifestyle, Couldn't possibly be the meditation, it had something else, right? And to be fair, that could be true. This first study could not address that. So we did a second study. In this study, what we did is we took people who had never meditated before, and we put them in the scanner, and then we put them through an 8-week meditation-based stress reduction program, where they were told to meditate every day for 30 to 40 minutes. And then we scanned them again at the end of the 8 weeks, and this is what we found. So what you see is that several areas became larger. In this slide, we can see the hippocampus. And in the graph, the controls are in blue and the meditation subjects are in red. And what we see is that the hippocampus, and this is an area that's important for learning and memory. It's also important for emotion regulation. And what's interesting is there's less gray matter in this region in people who have depression and PTSD. Another region we identified was the temporal parietal junction, which is here above your ear. And it's important for perspective taking and empathy and compassion. And again, these are both functions which people report changing when they start practicing meditation and yoga. Another region we identified was the amygdala, and the amygdala is the fight or flight part of your brain. And here we actually found a decrease in gray matter. And what was interesting was that the change in gray matter was correlated with the change in stress. So the more stress reduction people reported, the smaller the amygdala became. And this was really interesting because it's sort of the opposite and parallel of what some animal studies have shown. So Chatterjee and colleagues using rodents, they took rodents who were just happy, normal rodents, and they had them in their cage, and they measured their amygdala, and then they put them through a 10-day stress regimen. And at the end of the 10 days, they measured their amygdala, and this exact same analogous part of their rat brain grew. So we found a decrease with stress. They found an increase with stress. What was interesting is that then they left the animals alone. And 3 weeks later, they went back and tested them again. And 3 weeks later, that same part of the amygdala was still large. And the animals, even though they were in their original cages where they were happy, were still acting stressed out. So they, were cowering in the corner, and they just weren't exploring the space the way they had before. And so this is the exact opposite of what we saw with the humans, because with the humans, nothing has changed with their environment. They still had their stressful jobs, all the difficult people in their lives are still being difficult, and the economy still sucked, but yet, their amygdala got smaller, and they were reporting less stress. And so together, these really showed that the change in the amygdala, it's not responding to the change in the environment, but rather it's representing the change in people's reaction and relationship to their environment. And then the other thing that the study shows us is that it wasn't just that people were saying, oh, I feel better, or that it was a placebo response, or that they were trying to please us, that there was actual neurobiological reason why they were saying they felt less stressed. And so the idea that I'd like to share with all of you today is that meditation can literally change your brain. Thank you.
Cool. So, the physiological and psychological effects of meditation. An individual's heart rate slows during meditation. It also accelerates in the moments of elation during meditation. Meditation has been shown to lower blood pressure for those who are hypertensive. Meditation increases cortical activity as well. And as for its psychological effects, meditation can increase perceptual ability, memory, and intelligence. It has also been reported that the number of transcendental meditation practice predicted the higher performance on nonverbal intelligence tests. So, conclusions. Meditation has been found to be effective in pain management and enhancing immune system function. Long-term benefits of meditation show that it can reduce stress, increase happiness, self-confidence, and overall effectiveness. Meditation is not only a technique used for self-awareness, but also has therapeutic value. Thank you guys for listening, and here are my references.